everyone. Hopefully you all had a good 4th of July, and I hope you all had a good 4th of July week. Those holiday weeks are always great. You know, the office is always empty. There's typically not a lot of work to do, and then when the holiday rolls around, you get to just have fun and eat good food. So who can ask for anything better than that? As you'll notice, I'm filming from a new location this week because I have spent the week house sitting for my sister and brother-in-law, and I'm taking care of their cats. They're actually running around over there right now. I can see them. Hopefully they play nice while I'm filming this. We shall see. I had to break up a fight last night, so hopefully, you know, all is well and they've reconciled. So I got a lot to cover in this video. I want to talk a little bit about the beginning of the Bischoff and Heyman regimes on Raw and SmackDown, which I honestly don't have much to comment on there. You'll find out why. And I also want to do brief reviews, not necessarily a full match-by-match review, but because, you know, we're a week removed and it would just be overkill at this point. But I do want to talk about ROH's Best in the World, which I did see, and AEW's Fyter Fest, which I also saw. And, but before I get into all of that, I do want to apologize for a mistake I made in my last Star Wars review, which was pointed out to me. My review was of the Black Fleet Crisis trilogy, and I made the mistake of completely omitting that Akana actually did admit to Luke that she had lied to him about his mom being a part of her group that she wanted Luke to help her find. I typically don't make those kind of mistakes, usually because whatever book I'm reviewing, I try to read it about at least a couple of weeks before I film the video, so I can, like, read it, finish reading it, and then kind of absorb it, and it'll be fresh in my mind by the time I film it. Unfortunately, the Black Fleet Crisis was something that I listened to the audiobook months ago, mainly because the Security Plus that I was studying for kind of took precedence over a few things. So I kind of got that one out of the way earlier before I filmed the review. And because of that, I think my memory of it wasn't as sharp as it probably should have been. So I apologize for the mistake I made in the review. I promise to make sure that it never happens again. But thank you for pointing that out. Now, if I'm going to sit here on my channel and make fun of other people for the mistakes that they make, I have no problem with anybody else calling me out for the mistakes that I make. So thank you for pointing it out, and I apologize, and I will do my best to make sure it never happens again. So, that said, let's talk a little bit about Raw and SmackDown this week with Paul Heyman and Eric Bischoff taking over for the first time. Now, as I said, I'm not going to have much to say. Oh, hi, Shadow. Hi, what do you want? Do you want anything? No? You just want to sit there and be cute? Okay. I don't have much to say about either show because I did not watch them. As I said, I was house sitting and didn't really have a whole lot to do beyond taking care of the cats. Or I take that back. I had a lot to do between cleaning. I had to clean out your dirty litter box. You guys are disgusting. But had a lot to do and did some house cleaning and various other things. So I didn't really have a whole lot of time on my hands to watch Raw or SmackDown this week. I did read the results for Raw, and my initial impressions were that I could feel Heyman's touches in there. The pregnancy angle with Maria, I was like, alright, that's a Paul Heyman deal. Some new people getting a spotlight like Mike and Maria Kanellis. That feels like a Heyman touch. Kind of changing up the people that are being showcased. And starting off with a match that ends with like this crazy finish, that feels like a Paul Heyman thing. There's still a few WWE things in there, like, you know, run-ins resulting in a random tag match being made and various other things. But like I said in my last video, where I talked about Heyman and Bischoff, the changes that they make, it's going to take a while. If they are going to improve the WWE product on a week-to-week basis, it's going to take a while to get there because there's a lot of shit that they've got an uphill battle and a half to try and fix all of this shit. I've even recommended think about slowly but surely rebooting the entire thing. Not doing what Nitro did in 2000 where they just completely started from scratch, but slowly but surely just phase out everything that the WWE currently has, and then, not the wrestlers necessarily, but all the storylines, if you want to call them that. Just slowly but surely phase out everything and then just kind of kick off your whole new ideas. And in Bischoff's case, I know, if he hasn't pitched it already, I'm sure it's going to be in the works sooner or later. He is going to want to change the look of SmackDown completely. Again, just getting the vibe from Eric Bischoff from interviews and stuff, I know that he's going to want a complete overhaul on the production of SmackDown and just make it look like a completely different show. And so if they are going to have any kind of a significant presence on Raw and SmackDown in regards to Heyman and Bischoff, it's going to take a while to get there. So I don't think this week's shows are necessarily a good indicator of what Heyman and Bischoff are going to do, because I think they're going to need at least a month, maybe longer, to kind of get any kind of idea of what their plans are for Raw and SmackDown. So, again, I wish them the best, and the Raw results this week didn't sound completely terrible, so I'll give them that. I'll give Paul Heyman that much, and I could feel like his touches on the show. Whether or not that'll last, we'll just have to wait and see. There's also been a lot of rumblings of them going to kind of ditching the PG era and going to more TV-14 deal. Corey Graves this week said holy shit, completely uncensored. And if they want to go that route, I think that's fine. I'm in favor of it, but keep in mind that the programming was bad before they went PG. I think back to things like Katie Vick and HLA and a bunch of stupid angles with Tori Wilson and various other things where it was like, a lot of it was, a lot of that shock value stuff was stupid and gross. And, the PG era, it just became milquetoast and stupid. So, moving away from PG isn't necessarily going to fix everything if the writing still sucks. It's just going to suck in a completely different way. So, hopefully they keep that in mind. It's all right. Yes, I'm all for going for a more mature audience, but it's got to be good. That's the other thing. It's actually got to be good. It can't just be like, oh, we're TV-14, we curse and swear, and there's blood now, so we fixed everything. I'm like, no, you've got to actually have good feuds and good storylines to kind of complement the TV-14 and whatever direction they want to move in. So, again, it'll be very interesting. It's going to be a week-by-week thing, I think, to see what effect Heyman and Bischoff actually have. So, I will definitely keep my eyes open for more. I'm going to try and watch Raw and SmackDown next week. And, hi, Shadow, you're being cute again. Okay. So, yeah, that's really all I have to say about Raw and SmackDown. So let's get into the pay-per-views I watched last week. ROH Best in the World. Now, I gotta be honest, I didn't like this show. Didn't think it was very good. Didn't think it was one of ROH's best efforts. And really, it's like, dude, they put on that show WrestleMania weekend with New Japan, and now we've got this, and it's like, man, they are really missing something with the Elite. Now, I'm not trying to say that ROH is dead by any means, but, they've done this before. This happened. They've made a bunch of stars, and then those stars move on to somewhere else, and then they just make the next crop of guys. I think right now they're just in that transitional phase where they got to find the next crop of guys. There were a lot of matches that just didn't work. The pure match between Jonathan Grisham and Silas Young did not work at all. Nice idea. I've said in the past I actually enjoyed the pure title and the rule structure of the pure title, so bringing back that rule structure, at least for this feud, I thought was a nice idea. I don't think it was executed very well, and the ending made Grisham look like more of a heel than I think what they were going for, which was he's getting one up on the heel, but I don't think it got over the way they wanted it to. The women's match was okay, I guess. The Allure, and we have that whole situation going on with them right now. What happened at that show with Bully Ray and the fan and everything, and so there's a bit of a stigma on them right now. But I think it's nice that the division actually has heels for once, instead of just like Sumi Sakai being on top and then there's just no story. It's just her holding the title and defending the title, and nobody knows why she has the belt. So I think there's at least a little bit more intrigue to the women's division, but again, it's not like they're setting the world on fire either. What else? Jay Lethal versus Kenny King, I thought was okay, not great. The main event, I think, suffered from time constraints. I think they were running out of time, so they had this kind of quick, blah match. And it's a shame, because I thought Matt Taven and Jeff Cobb could have a hell of a match if given the chance, but I think they ran out of time, so they just kind of had to go out there and have this rushed match in the main event. The only matches on the show that I really liked were the six-man tag title match, which was Villain Enterprises versus Lifeblood. I thought the match itself was really, really good. I like those guys on Villain Enterprises. Marty's great. PCO, I mean, that dude deserves a ton of credit for what he's done to revitalize his career. And the post match angle with Flip Gordon joining Villain Enterprises was okay. I guess maybe it was a little too drawn out, but I guess that's fine. Nice little storyline development. But I did enjoy the match for what it was, so that was fine. And I thought the TV title match between Bandito and Sean Taylor, I thought that was a very good match. So I enjoyed that. But other than that, I thought the pay-per-view was very flat. And it's unfortunate that, coming off the heels of their MSG show, you're looking at this show that didn't really have a whole lot of energy behind it. And it was held in the same venue that I attended the ROH show last year. In UMBC in Baltimore, and that crowd that I was with was, excited and going nuts and just completely energized throughout the entire show. And this crowd, you could see a lot of empty seats in the arena, and they didn't seem all that into everything. So it really does feel like ROH has lost a huge spark, losing Cody, the Bucks, and all of that. And you can't help but feel like Marty's going to be gone the second his contract's up too. So. That's unfortunate, but hopefully Ring of Honor is able to, like they've always done in the past, always able to find replacements and get themselves. They've typically had a pretty good system in place for replacing guys when they go away. So overall, not a great show, not a great effort from ROH, but them's the breaks sometimes. Okay, and I just realized that I fucked up again. I mistakenly called the ROH TV champion Sean Taylor instead of Shane Taylor. My mistake. I'm so sorry to get you confused with a dead football player. It'll never, ever happen again. God, I am fucking up left and right. Why are you all still subscribed to me? It's amazing. Anyway, moving on from the ROH show. AEW Fyter Fest, which got a very interesting reaction online. I'm seeing from people. Some people loved it. Some people are shitting on it, and some WWE fans are saying, see, they're not that good, they're not that good. And I'm just like, what the fuck? I thought the show was perfectly fine. I thought, I didn't love the show, but my expectations weren't that high for the show, because I kind of knew what it was. It was just kind of a throwaway show to fill time until we get to All Out, so... my expectations weren't super high for this. Really all I wanted out of this was like, alright, if you can give me some solid action and showcase a few more of your newer stars a little bit more, I'll be okay with it. And overall, I felt like they did that. So, the show was not perfect. There were things I didn't like, but overall, I enjoyed myself, and I thought it was completely enjoyable for what it was. I thought it was a perfectly solid show. Now, most of the bad stuff that I didn't like seemed to be on the pre-show. The three-way tag was good. I did like the three-way tag, and Private Party... it seems to be another surprise hit for AEW. They seem like a really good team, and I like that they're building their tag division. You know me, I love tag wrestling. So, for a three-way tag spot festy kind of match, it was fine. And as a nice showcase for their different tag teams, I thought it was fine. And Private Party ended up being kind of the show stealers here. So, the three-way tag on the pre-show was good. What was not good was the librarian gimmick, which I don't know if I've talked about the librarian. This is Leva Bates playing the part. She was Blue Pants in NXT. I don't get this gimmick. I don't think it's funny. I don't get the idea behind it. It feels like an inside joke that nobody else gets but the people that actually made it. And I just don't understand it. And it's like, alright, so I'm supposed to hate her because this character's a heel. I'm supposed to hate her because she shushes people and encourages people to read. I like to read, personally. I dedicate a part of my channel to reviewing Star Wars books, so reading is a thing I enjoy. So, I don't understand. What am I supposed to hate here? I don't get it. It's kind of like what I talked about with the Shooting Stars, and they sell timeshares. It's like, oh, fuck those guys. Oh, no. God. The most dastardly villains. They sell timeshares. And I just don't get what the gimmick is supposed to be. I just don't understand it, and I don't think it's funny. And whenever I see a gimmick like this, because there are plenty of examples that have come out in the modern era, I think Elias is a great example of that today, where they create this character who's more on the cartoony side, and he's clearly meant to be a heel, but they don't do anything with it. They just do a bit. And that's it. And I'm supposed to hate him because he does a bit. And it makes no sense to me because he's not doing anything dastardly. And to show you how to do it right, I like the Honky Tonk Man. Why did I like the Honky Tonk Man? Because the character was a complete fucking asshole. In addition to, he did the Elvis impersonator bit, and it's obnoxious and cartoony and silly, but the guy is such an obnoxious piece of shit that does dastardly things, like manhandling Miss Elizabeth, and getting himself disqualified to save his title on a constant basis, and slamming a guitar into the side of Jake Roberts' head. The dude is an asshole. And they give me reasons to hate him beyond the fact that he's an obnoxious guy that dresses up like Elvis. If Honky Tonk Man were around today, he would just do, pun intended, he would just do the song and dance, and that's it. And they would just expect me to hate him based on that, when instead I would just be confused. It's like, alright, why is this guy dressed up like Elvis? Why am I supposed to hate him? This makes no sense. It's a one-note bit that is going to get boring within a month. And the librarian is part of that same thing where it's like, I don't know why she's a librarian. I don't know why she shushes people. I don't know why she's fighting over the gimmick with this other guy. I don't get it. It just doesn't make any sense. And if you, I think a good place to start to fixing it, if you're going to continue with the librarian bit, a good way to fix it is, hey, actually have her do bad things. Try that. Actually have her do, like, really nasty, awful things, and maybe that'll work in her favor. But for right now, I'm not feeling the librarian gimmick. Makes no sense to me, and I just don't get it. And the Alex Jabali Nakazawa match probably would have been an okay comedy match, except I don't have a complete idea of who Alex Jabali is, so I don't... This felt like something that was purely for the crowd, because obviously, they were... the whole video game aspect of the show. So, this felt like something that was for the crowd and not so much for anybody else. And as a result, I was just kind of perplexed by it. Like, I don't know who this guy is or why I'm supposed to hate him or why I'm supposed to care that he's in this match with Michael Nakazawa. And when you have an unsanctioned match in the main event, as the closing match of the main show, it just kind of makes it look silly when that match is like this violent hardcore spectacle, and then you have this hardcore match here, which is just kind of a dog and pony show. So I wasn't feeling that either. But fortunately, those two things I'm complaining about were on the pre-show, so I didn't really have a whole lot to complain about moving on from there. The main card, I liked pretty much everything. The women's match was good. I thought Daniels and Chima had a good match in the opener. Nice continuation from Double or Nothing. I thought the four-way was real good. Again, it was a nice showcase for all those guys. Hangman Page, Jungle Boy, MJF, and Havoc. Great showcase of talent. I think MJF is a star. That dude is just waiting to burst out and become like the shining star of AEW. That guy. Where the hell did they get that guy? It's like, I had never heard of him before AEW. It's like, man, I guess, every time you think the indies have been plundered, somebody else comes along, and this guy, just on his promos alone, I think he's, like, an instant star. So, I hope they have, like, big plans for him, because that guy is really something special. I wouldn't be surprised if he cost Hangman Page the title against Jericho at All Out. We'll see what goes on there. But, yeah, for showcasing these talents, I thought that the four-way was real good. I like the pairing between Jungle Boy and Luchasaurus. I think that's a really awesome pairing. The Moon Boy and Devil Dinosaur of wrestling. I also kind of get like a Mario and Yoshi feeling from it too. Hopefully they throw eggs at everybody. That'd be great. But yeah, no, I enjoyed the four-way. Darby Allin versus Cody. This was a good match. I enjoyed it. I'd never seen Darby Allin before, so this is another like great showcase for him. That coffin drop move he did was insane. I hope he doesn't make a habit out of doing that, because that was scary as hell. But overall, I thought it was a good match and a nice showcase for Allin. And going to a time limit draw, I liked. That's another thing I liked about the show. I liked that there were time limits. I liked that they kept the audience abreast of what the time limit, how much time had expired throughout the match. I like that a lot, and I hope they stick to that, because that should be a thing in pro wrestling. And I think, too many fans online get wrapped up in kind of the Dave Meltzer star rating. And actually, from what I've been told, Dave Meltzer liked this match a lot too. So he and I are actually on the same wavelength here. But They got so wrapped up in the star rating side of things that they just poo-poo DQs and countouts and time limit draws. You need those things to happen once in a while, and people don't like it when I say that, but it's true. If they never happen, then why should I care when both guys spill outside the ring and they count to 10? Or they start to count to 10. There's no reason to care if it never happens. It's got to happen once in a while. There needs to be time limit draws, there needs to be countouts, and there needs to be disqualifications. Perfect example, WrestleMania 3. Earlier in the show, and actually one of my more favorite matches on this card, Hercules versus Billy Jack Haynes in the Battle of the Full Nelsons. A good match, ended on a double countout. It ended up paying off later in the show when Hogan and Andre in the main event both spilled outside the ring and had a fight outside the ring. Jesse Ventura's line, "Don't let this match end in a countout." There was legitimate fear that Jesse's fears were legitimate because that finish happened earlier in the night. So it felt like, oh my god, it could actually happen. The main event could actually end in a countout draw. And it didn't happen, obviously. And I guess even then, you're all right, they're not going to end the main event that way. But the fact that it happened earlier in the show created the possibility that it could happen. And, sorry, hit my mic. You've got to have those finishes once in a while. I know, a lot of online reviewers don't like them. I like them, and I think that they need to happen. I remember when I was a kid, they used to happen all the time. Like, you would get draws and countouts and DQs all the fucking time. Hardly ever in big matches. Mainly because, with big matches, you want, like, a definitive conclusion. But, and also, as I've said before, it's like, if you're a wrestler and this thing's a shoot, and you win by countout or you win by DQ, I'd celebrate that win. I would be like, look, I won. It's like, it doesn't care how I won. And it's a completely legitimate, within the rule book, way of winning. And I think that those need to be more commonplace. Not every match and not every single show, there doesn't need to be countouts or DQs or time limit draws, but at the very least it should happen once in a while. And actually, New Japan, their matches hardly ever end in countouts, yet they always do the count to 19 spot in New Japan. And it doesn't mean anything, because it almost never happens unless it's a Yano match. Which is why Yano's great. He wins by countout. He's great. But in any case, that's my little rant there. So I actually really like the finish to this. And I'm glad that AEW didn't cave to the whole 5 more minutes thing. I wish they would just keep to the time limit draws. If you're going to do it, stick to it. You should only do an overtime if it's a situation like a title's on the line, like in the Iron Man match at WrestleMania 12, or if it's a tournament, or something like that, where you need... and even in a tournament, I would say just eliminate both guys and move on. But there's got to be a little bit more on the line than just kind of a normal match on a card before you start doing like, all right, we got to have an overtime to kind of settle this. Hi, Gary. Oh, now Gary's being cute. Listen to me ranting and raving. So I like the finish to this match. I enjoyed the match. Now the, God, what's his new name? Sean Spears, the former Ty Dillinger, coming out and attacking Cody. I thought was a good angle. It's gotten some negative press for Cody taking an unprotected chair shot to the head and, busting him open. It looked to me like Cody bladed, to me, but, and maybe he just cut himself a little too deep. I don't necessarily condone doing that type of thing all the time, but I think if the wrestlers are in control and they're prepared, and this type of thing doesn't become the norm, I guess I'm okay with it, as long as the workers know what they're doing, and, which, guys like Cody, I mean, he knows what's up, and apparently they gimmicked the chair, from what I've heard. It was just an unfortunate, they had taken safety precautions, but it was just an unfortunate mishap, so who knows, but, I'm not going to instantly bash a show just for doing an unprotected chair shot. It's like, I trust the wrestlers to kind of know how to do it right. If I think this was just a case where maybe they planned it one way and it just didn't go the way they planned it. It wasn't being careless. It was just an unfortunate mistake that happened. But add some heat. It's like, all right, now we got Cody versus Sean Spears at All Out, I guess. That'll be interesting to see. And then we got the 6-man tag, the Elite, taking on the Lucha Brothers and the Laredo Kid. I liked the Street Fighter bits that they did. I liked the Bucks and Kenny coming out dressed as Street Fighter characters and doing the Hadouken spot right in the middle of the match. I was like, okay, that's good wrestling comedy. I thought that was funny, and it kind of fit the theme of the show, and overall it was a nice action-packed match. It wasn't as good as the tag match that the Bucks and the Lucha Brothers had at Double or Nothing, but it was a good, solid, entertaining match that gave Kenny Omega kind of a win after suffering a big defeat at Double or Nothing. So, just good stuff here. I really enjoyed it. And then we had the main event, the unsanctioned match. Dean Ambrose taking on Joey Janela. I guess my biggest issue here is that there wasn't really a lot of heat on this feud. It wasn't really much of a feud. It was just kind of... It was more advertised as Jon Moxley's AEW debut more than anything else. It wasn't really like this hot feud heading into the show. And normally, if you're going to do like an unsanctioned hardcore match, I would want it to be between like real blood rivals. And I don't think Joey Janela and Jon Moxley have that at all. But to the end of showcasing Jon Moxley and giving him a strong in-ring debut for AEW, I think it achieved that. I thought the match was really entertaining and a good hardcore match. And it really, once again, shows, it's like, oh my god, they really did handcuff Moxley in the WWE. And now that he's not there, he's really getting to cut loose and do the type of stuff that he wants to do. And to that end... more power to him, and I thought the match was really entertaining, good closing match, and you even got Kenny Omega getting a measure of revenge against Moxley after he got the win over Janela, and furthering their build for All Out, which I'm super excited for that match. I mean, All Out's looking like it's going to be great. Between the title match and Omega versus Moxley, I'm already sold on the show, and Lord knows what else is going to make it onto this card, but, I guess Cody versus Shawn Spears is a given at this point. But, yeah, I thought Fyter Fest was an entertaining show. I thought it was an overall good, solid show. Some people saying, some WWE fans in particular, saying it's like, oh, it wasn't that good, it sucked, and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, what? I thought it was fine. Like, why are we... I don't know. I guess some people have already put their flags into specific camps, and they're just going to shit on AEW no matter what. If they're in the WWE camp, and if they're in the AEW camp, they're just going to praise AEW no matter what, and shit on WWE no matter what they do. I try to be a little bit more objective, and just, if it's good, I'll say it's good. If it's bad, I'll say it's bad. And I don't have a problem calling out AEW for bad things that they do. Like the Librarian. I'm not a fan of that gimmick. But in any case, I enjoyed Fyter Fest. I thought it was solid. I'm definitely checking out... Fight for the Fallen, mainly because I want to see the tag match. I want to see Rhodes Brothers versus Young Bucks. I think that's going to be incredible. But for right now, I think AEW continues to be good, and I'm still excited for All Out. So we'll see what goes on there. So, that's really all I have for you now. Thank you all for watching. I guess the next big thing's coming up. We've got Slammiversary on Sunday night. I don't know if I'm going to watch that. We've got the G1 Climax beginning soon with the show in Dallas. I might check out the show, and I'm going to try and watch as much of the G1 Climax as possible. I'm super excited for the G1 Climax this year because we've got some interesting names thrown into the hat to kind of freshen things up. So I think it's going to be a fun tournament as always, and I can't wait to see some of it. And now that I've got the Security Plus out of the way and pass my exam, I can actually sit down and actually watch some New Japan on a regular basis. So I'm happy to do that. Is there anything else I should cover? No, I think we're good. Y'all are tired of listening to me talk. So I'm going to be back at my standard place by the next time I film my next video. Don't know when exactly that'll be. Sometime next week, but I don't know specifically what it's going to be and what it's going to be about. So, it'll be a surprise. I'll even surprise myself. But that is all I have for you now. Thanks again, everybody, for watching. Continue to support the channel. Be sure to like, subscribe, hit the little bell icon so you get notified when I post new videos. And if I make another mistake, be sure to post in the comments so I can correct it in the next video. But that is all I have for you now. Thanks again for watching, and I'll see you all later.